Oops. Hey, what's up? And welcome to Let's Do Lunch with me, Nate Couser. Today's going to be a little bit different. My guest is running late, so you got to keep the show going. Again, I am Nate Couser, the host of the Artist Exchange Radio Show. This is a side conversation from my regular interviews that I do on Mondays and Fridays on the Artist Exchange Radio Show on BigExposeRadio.com. But I wanted to during this pandemic, during this uprising that we're now also in, I wanted to begin to have some conversations that stand out from my normal artist conversations. And I talked like this on that platform as well, but I wanted to specifically have a platform where the issue itself is being spoken about. A few days ago, well, before I even get into it, so this platform is meant really to connect those conversations that I want to have with my love of food. And I have recently begun to incorporate vegan eating into my diet. In every show, I want to support the chefs, the caterers, the restaurants out there that are doing their best to keep afloat and keep us fed and continue to crank out the culinary arts that is the food industry. And today, I need the vegan restaurants to open a little bit earlier because I ended up having to have breakfast and I'm having well, I kind of started it already. Some fried, baked potato, roasted potatoes, and vegan sausages. Um, and I'm really trying my best. For me, veganism isn't about the animals or nature, but it's more so a health choice. I just recently turned 37, and I want to eat better. I want to feel better. Many of you know once you turn 30, stuff start aching that ain't never ached before, and food begins to react to our bodies differently, or our bodies begin to react to food differently. So for me, veganism is a health choice, not physically or any of that thing, any things like that, but just me being more mindful of what I put in my body. So if you own a restaurant and you're watching this or you know of a restaurant, please have those people contact us at the Artist Exchange Radio Show at gmail.com, and we'll feature them on the show. I'll get their food, I'll taste it, I'll give my critiques and such, and then we'll start into the conversation. Today's conversation is representation matters. So I'm going to pull up a photo that I posted on my Facebook, not on my Facebook, on my Instagram. And if you want to follow us, is at the Artist Exchange, the that underscore artist underscore exchange on Instagram. And I posted this photo of the officer, the chief of police in Minneapolis, who um, made the call to fire the officer who killed Mr. Floyd. And my point for posting that image was simply to show us that representation matters. The TED talk that I played at the top of the show was an extreme example of how representation matters. And when you are dealing with issues of police brutality and such, it is very important for us to have representation in all areas of government, the judiciary system, the police departments on a local level, government. It is very important for us to have representation because many of us speak about not being represented, not being fairly represented when it comes to making laws and passing bills. And we have this census report that's going out now that is aiming to divvy up government funding for specific things like roads and uh, area parks and education system and food stamps and all these social economical resources that are allocated to areas that are populated. And because we don't fill out those things, we aren't being represented in that way. Because many of us are choosing not to vote, we're not being represented properly. We are in the midst of a voting and we're waiting on results right now in a primary election. And I'm seeing the numbers for the mayoral election here in Baltimore, and it doesn't equal up to how many people we have in the city. And I know votes are still coming in, but I just need for us to just step out there a little bit more and this isn't me preaching at anybody. This is a lot of understanding that I've had to get for myself over the years. I can't complain about not being represented if I'm not willing to do what is necessary to be represented. And I saw a huge issue in our educational system. And I am currently making a really hard decision. Do I go back to school and get my degree in education and become a registered teacher? And do I do do I try to be a principal and or a superintendent? Where do I go? So I'm right now praying over some options for myself and what I want to see happen. And the reason it's so important to me because I saw the lack of resources in our school. I just did an interview last night on a Talk Lately show with Marnie, and that was one of the arguments that I rose, and him and I were arguing over the importance of all of our points of view and perspectives and the issues that we have. And I think it's possible for all of us to get our points across without crossing each other or being angry with each other. The gentleman that was supposed to be on here today, hopefully he logs in soon. Uh, we had a conversation from that photo that we put up there from the gentleman who that is the chief of police in the Minneapolis, Minnesota police area. And he was the reason that the officer was terminated, like I said. And the argument that got on the board was, um, okay, congratulations, he made the decision, but when are the charges being filed? And the gentleman who I wanted to interview today, actually, I'm talking to him right now. and yeah, so the argument was, okay, so he made this decision, so now what? Or it's not, he doesn't really have power. And for me, had he been any other race, I am more than certain that I'm more than certain that uh he would not have been fired right away. He would have been put on suspension and given his pay, or he wouldn't have been necessarily fired had that man been any other race. And I'm really happy that he made that blunt decision. Now there are things that he still needs to do. Um, there's definitely things that he still needs to do in order to uh, make sure that charges are being filed. And just like the gentleman mentioned, Marilyn Mosby, not many individuals step up that are legally in positions that they can, or have positions where they can do something. Like Marilyn Mosby, she attacked those those officers that were involved in the death of Freddie Gray immediately. And that's not a norm in our city, here in Baltimore or many other cities. What that officer decided to do in firing that officer is not the norm, is not the standard, is not what happens. And I see our guest is with us right now, so I'm going to welcome him in before we finish the conversation. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? How
Hey,
you doing, family?
I'm doing good. So I had started the conversation based off of the image, and I see Miss Meekins made a comment. She says representation is very important. Stay prayed up for guidance. Thank you, Miss Meekins. So I'm gonna put up the image that kind of connected us in the beginning. Uh, Connected us at all. And this was the image that I chose to post, and it had nothing to do with him being a black male or officer. It was more so the representation, because there's still, as you said on the thread, there's more for us to do. There's more for him to do as the chief of police in that city. But at this point, it's even out of his hands. So I want to welcome you in and get your opinions or your feelings on specifically. Let's start with the image, and like I said, how we first encountered each other. But can you tell me um, who you are? One, and this is DJ Marcus L. And I want you to first introduce yourself and then give me your opinions on the issue, on the image first.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me, allowing me to be on the space and allowing that conversation that we had for that being the first time me seeing your brand and your image. That does
Hmm.
it creates a good light because it is a good conversation point. Um, but needless to say, I'm DJ Marcusel, DJ out of the DMV area, tour, travel, concert DJ, part of Coalition DJs DMV, the chapter of Coalition DJs, and pretty much. What I feel as if representation matters only when that representation, I feel like it's not respected. I feel like representation leaves a space for tokenism. I feel like
Right.
if just to say that we have somebody in the placement doesn't necessarily give power, because if that person
Hmm.
in placement still has to adhere to what their uh superiors say, what I mean, then what is the point of the representation? It creates a false idolhood. So that's part I was just like, what I mean, black officers are like, I feel it, but at the end of the day, I really don't give any policeman that leeway of saying you're good because you represent a false system.
And I don't the representation is not for me. My post had nothing to do about the system of being a police officer because I'm just as outraged, I'm just as angry, and I am still angry at previous incidents. I'm in Baltimore, so we've had to deal with
Okay, you
Frederick
know Freddie
Gray
Gray.
for
Yeah,
a
you was
number of
yeah.
years. I'm still stuck on Philando Castile and Tavon Tamir Rice,
Sandra
and
Bland.
a
Ooh.
number of the people. Like this is like a lady on a show that I interviewed with last night. She said feels like Groundhog's Day. It definitely feels like we keep waking up and this just keep happening, and the faces just keep changing. The date and the face changes, but
You
the
know.
situation is still the same. Um, and again, I'll say my point in posting and even topicking this show, representation matters. It has nothing to do with the position, but if he was not in that position, do you think that officer would have been still under the jurisdiction of being a police officer and home right now resting with pay? Do you think it would have made a difference? That those when I say representation,
Okay.
that's what I mean by it. We need people in positions of power that are actually going to do what their job requires in a situation and not just keep glossing over it and keep going back and forth. We're two black men right now on a platform speaking on injustice, and it's not a norm for us to see, and we in the DMV, so it's a norm for us to have black leadership, but that leadership has not always done its job. Are you in the DC area?
Absolutely. Actually, I currently I'm from the DC area. I'm from the PG County area. So, but I currently live in Columbia, right outside Baltimore. So,
So you familiar with Marion Barry? And
absolutely.
we have Sheila Dixon and Pugh and Bank. So we've had black leadership in our city, but they have not always done what they were supposed to do, and their personal flaws have always gotten in the way of them being able to actually deliver on their promises as a civil officers. That's what I mean. Even I really don't care what the complexion is. I just want people to do their job. And I was really proud to see somebody who looked like me in a seat of power being able to actually do his job outside
Yeah.
of the
See,
cameras.
the only way I felt about that is because it's been other situations where police have still been fired. You know what I mean? So me,
Right.
so it's like they still get fired, but do they get convicted? They got a 98% chance of no. You know what I mean? Some of them get fired, some
Hmm.
get leave with pay. You know what I mean? That's the common denominator we often see. So that for them
Right.
to fall into the same pattern under him getting fired, me personally, I just couldn't applaud it. You know what I mean? I was just like, damn, well, he got
Hmm.
fired. That's cool. Do they still get leave of pay? A lot of times we see people, donate money, make GoFundmes. You know what I mean? Darren
Right.
Wilson was able to still get paid. You know what I mean? Stacks for
Hmm.
him being a murderer. You know what I mean? So No, I definitely understand that point. I feel like that representation would really matter, and that becomes real pivotal when the overall system was meant for us. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the system as a whole was never meant. The Constitution tells us where we stand, and then the Emancipation Proclamation only gives us liberties that's granted. You know what I mean? So
But in
understanding
and
where
you
we stand,
and then you saying that, are we just supposed to just sit and just continue to let this happen, or do we
absolutely not.
applaud and us applauding that type of leadership, no matter what the face looks like, it shows them that we are paying attention, and that's what we want. So when we have to vote, or we have to protest, those things show that we are paying attention. And too often we just let our votes get out there, or we don't vote, or we're not being represented in numbers. So therefore they continue to do what they're supposed to do. There was no way that they could have just suspended this man with all the hoopla around the world that has happened in its midst. So if they would have done that, they would have completely burned that city down, or many cities around the country.
I hope, but I mean, but that's at the end of the day, it's still we still have that lingering question. So what happens when they find him no guilty? In the coincidence that history repeats itself and he gets found no guilty, you know what I mean? What is now the That's why I'm more so into the aspect of, you know, black nationalism. Understanding that we are in a place where we can be interdependent. Like we see where we're at, but we have enough of our own resources, enough people everywhere that we could say, listen, this is our infrastructure. We have one base in certain cities, and we all understand the code to follow each. You know what I mean? So I do, and
Uh,
to also that was a good point about leadership. You know what I mean? Because people are flawed. You know what I mean? Stuff happens, and
right,
we do sometimes look at our leadership, as damn, this, that, and the third. But leadership across the board. All politicians, they all have their loom skeletons in the closet. So you know
right.
what I mean. So leadership is I don't want to say that we need leadership because that also makes me feel like we need to wait for someone to curate it. You know what I mean? Wait for someone to more so, and I think it could start at a lower level that might be more fundamentally easier if we kind of try to lower grassroots level. So start with with communities, and communities build with other communities, and then it builds regions, and that builds. You know what I mean? There's no one way answer besides self defense. Just
And
so we
I
have.
and honestly, I get what you're saying. Like it makes
You know?
perfect sense to me. It
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. My issue then is, and I agree with you. I really believe as black people, we need to get ourselves together before we start reaching out and connecting ourselves and asking for support outside of our culture. We need to get us together in one
Absolutely.
page, because that whole idea of nationalism is will only work if we're all on the same page. It will not. It doesn't work if we're all worrying about our own bags, our own
Thank
selves,
you. Thank
and we're
you.
not we're not disconnected by our differences.
It takes
We,
a
we're gonna
village.
have differences because we're all different, naturally. But until we're in a space where we're holding people accountable, because him not being found guilty is not an option for me. It's not. It's not
Right.
an option. And I
Yeah,
hope
like,
that all the protesters are saying the same thing. They are doing that with the intention of not guilty is not an option, and we're willing to burn this city down and every other city around the country down if that is an option on the table. So
okay.
I think we need to we live in this world. We can go off and take a piece of land for ourselves and live, but we're still under the rule of this country if we're choosing to stay here. So I don't agree with just going off to ourselves. We have to demand a seat at the table, several of those seats, and not give in just because that's just the status quo and that's how things have been run up until this point. It was your comments and a couple other people comments stood out to me. That's why after a while I just reached out to you personally, because I really wanted to understand. um for me it looks like we're giving up and giving in to a system that was not meant for us and was not designed for us. And I don't want to speak for you or put words in your mouth, but I want to understand, where do you I don't have a word for it, but how do we accomplish our goal and be taken seriously and be able to be sit at the table of decisions and leadership?
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because I want by no means because I think that is a common misconception that when I tell this point of view to you, I had other people tell me that to kind of those concerns that you raised were kind of theirs also. And I think we need to more so mimic or mirror how everyone else practices their nationalism. You know what I'm saying? Jewish people have whole neighborhoods of all Jewish representation, although they also have theirs within the courts. I think everybody
Hmm.
has their own, unique role to play. So that side, the people who handle the legislation, is
Right,
like key and important because that keeps us interdependent while while the nationalism keeps us being able to sustain for our own. You know what I mean?
right,
Like,
right.
so I think that's a very good point. And yeah, so I think we do have to be also interdependent amongst the world, but we need to also focus and realize that we have no true allies. Like we need to understand that it's us for us.
As how old are you, if I may ask?
Absolutely, I'm 27.
So at 27, where do you see this going in the next 10 years?
Mm.
Our country, our community, um, the black
Whew.
collective body. Where do you see us going? Or where do you see us in 10 years?
It's an amazing question, bro. It's an amazing question, and because that makes you look at a painful reality of understanding that if we truthfully keep going into the same realm of what we've been doing, we're going to be in the same exact position.
Hmm.
What I genuinely hope within the next 10 years, hopefully not, but I feel as if though like shit, it might get bloody. It might get disgusting. It might get a little ugly because some people, they're trying to, with the powers that be, with the things that, the wars that we already have against us, that being,
Hmm.
biomedical and, other things that hold us to a certain degree, without that true organization or people getting on one accord, it gets very restless. So it's either we're going to get very restless and we're going to end up on some like Hunger Games Section 8, black people this section, white people this section after another civil war, or we're going to understand that, black people have no allies. We must work within each other and we start building. And within 10 years, we could have small infrastructures amongst certain cities. We could have our own schools established where we teach ours how we want to be teach how we want to teach them. We can have a certain amount of representation for those who, still believe in the country building with legislatures within 10 years. That's enough time for a couple presidents. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of things can happen within 10, a lot of different ways, and hopefully for the better, and without
Hmm.
bloodshed. Because the last thing I think we all want to see is any more black bodies.
And throughout this conversation, please feel free if you want me to answer anything, feel free. This isn't me hosting or this
Hey,
is my platform,
absolutely,
but
yeah.
feel free to add your thought or your questions or your if you want me to be more transparent about something. This conversation is I'm at my wits end. I've been exploding in people's comment sections on social media for the last 2 months.
Hell
And
yeah.
I don't like that in me. That's not who I am. I'm more of a quiet person, but I'm seeing ignorance prevailing over intellectual thoughts. I'm seeing a lot of
A lot.
complaining and no solution. I'm seeing a
Absolutely.
lot of
Yeah.
division and no type of uh, perspective that's going to unite us. And I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed in this to be an American in this moment, to be black, because we're dealing with a lot right now, and there's no means to an end
None.
right now.
None. I don't think people are really understanding the graveness of the situation. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I think the ignorance comes from a lot of just lack of knowledge. You know what I mean? It's weird when I talk to people, and it's funny you say you've been in comments, man, because that's always me. You know what I mean? And it's funny because I hear people talk about ways that things are doing and ways to get by, and I'm like, yo, we've had people give their lives to progress us as a people. The least we can do is understand where they went, how far they went, the greatness that they succeeded, and how we could push that same narrative forward. You know what I mean? Like we have blueprints already established by doctors, the greats that we follow. You know what I mean? That they refuse to
Right.
teach us because that actually worked. You know what I mean? Like I have a question for you. What would you think? This is not a little off topic, but it's like how Black Panther Party was so revolutionary in the '80s. To destroy it, they made crack. I was talking with my sister about it. And I said, so if we made the second version of the Black Panther Party, what do you think the new drug would be that they would destroy and infiltrate with?
And I and
or even a weapon of or even not even just a weapon, a drug. Let's say the weapon of choice. What do you think we would have to look out for?
us,
Infiltration
us,
is number one. Yeah.
and the telephone call is coming from within. And I
Absolutely.
say that not to be a pessimist, but I say that because I just
Real.
watched and to be the first thing that I watched for the pandemic was I watched the story of Malcolm X, the documentary that's on Netflix about him now. And
Right.
I saw that the people that were put into place were put there and they looked like him. His head bodyguard was a paid informant,
Mm.
a
Seriously.
young black man that was paid to follow him and be his side man, and was being paid by Malcolm and his organization and being paid by the police department.
Greed. Real shit.
And the three men that shot him were being paid also
Mm-hmm.
by the people who didn't want him there anymore, that was
Mm-hmm.
a part of his organization.
The
So
NOI.
I
Yep.
think the drug of choice, the new nuclear bomb is going to be us. It's too many people that are social climbers. It's too many people that are how can I say, social climbers, resume builders, that are in for self. All these new activists that are jumping up there, I don't see any of them fighting for this right now. All them ones that I saw fighting for Freddie Gray, I don't see them. I don't see them right now
At
because they
all.
all have gotten positions that they don't need to be doing this anymore.
Not the least in the same manner, in the same mannerhood. No, I definitely understand that. That's
Right.
actually the question, because especially with Takashi 6 9 and all that, you know what I mean?
That's why I just feel like the call is coming from within.
For real,
Right.
everybody's okay
Right.
snitching
Right.
now, so it's like, well, well, it's getting simple. It's getting easier. Fake
Yes.
information.
And
It's a
it
lot of fake information on the media. That's a good comment.
it is, and Crystal and I were just on a thread where a young lady dismissed the idea of there being uh corona being a real thing right now, and all of this is smoke and mirrors, and I believe all of that is true, but people still dying from the disease.
That's the
So whether
thing.
it's
Yeah,
man-made or
yeah.
not, people
It's
still dying.
Yeah, real. It's real. It's not as bad as they make it seem, but you can catch it and die. It's a real thing. It has a patent. You know what I mean? It was made for this specific reason to depopulate. But understand who they targeted that disease for, and understand that it was less about the disease. It was more about after that certain pandemic, they could now issue certain laws because certain things are already in play. Like now, since it's already a state of emergency, certain
Hmm.
things given certain rights and liberties to act out on other things. So it's really a stage plan to stage here to stage here. So yeah. It depends how we act. We could be in we could definitely be in for a war. Like I seen pictures of white people out getting a whole bunch of guns and lines of stores lining for guns. And I'm like, how many of us have guns? Already or know how to shoot. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
I want us to legitimize our arguments. I want us to legitimize our fight and our struggle. I want
absolutely.
us to be prepared with the information that is needed, the facts, not just a lot of hoopla. I want us to do the work that is necessary beyond just opening up our Facebook page, posting, and clicking send. Like, I need us to do a little bit more because we're losing the battle because they're coming prepared with factual information. So they're always
Exactly.
able to factually shoot us down. They're always
Exactly.
able to do that, and it's hard on us to understand. I think it's hard for me to understand personally why we don't see it that way. Again,
400
I
years.
yes, like
400
it's
years. We are down bad. Like, we are down bad. We blame
and we
ourselves
don't
for getting
see
shot.
it.
Yeah, we blame ourselves. Like, he should have complied. Heads up. He should have, like, what? Like, arms behind his back. He should have complied. Shot. Like, we are really at a point. The trauma passes through the womb. You know what I mean? So we
Yes.
really, yeah, man, it's a lot of foundational things. And I wish that it's also unification. It's the fact that even if other
So
races
before
were
you go
right or
before you
wrong.
go any further, Stop at unification. How
Mm-hmm.
can we all gonna have different, I call them different perspectives. I'm tired of the word opinion. It's being overused, and opinions is just stuff that people pulling out their ass right now. It's not even based on anything.
Right.
I thought I saw that. I'm reading between the lines. Speak on unification. How can we get to a place where we are able to sit down like the Jewish people, like the Asian people, despite whether we like each other or not, still get business done, still get our objectives met
That's a
by
great
the
question.
powers that be.
That's a great question. I think we need to really start more simplicity in a world of all these categories and subcategories and people who like with that perspective they see each other in different views. We all have like-minded views at the end of the day when it comes down to the simplicity of it. So we all want to sustain life, you know what I mean? Everybody wants to feel safe and be here, and we all want to see better for black people. So if we keep like certain codes to ourselves and keep these in
Hmm.
mind when we keep in our actions, we have our actions mirror the code. So when your actions mirror the code, I see, I can see somebody in a bad position. I wouldn't act a certain way because I remember this is the code that this is what we're living by and moving forward as. So I think it just
Right.
starts real simplicity. It could be something as simple as somebody saying, if Jay-Z just commented like 1, 2, 3 points and he just named 3 points, half the niggas who just follow him would say that, you know what I mean? And then it takes another person like LeBron to just miss another point. Somebody's gonna believe that, you know what I mean? So we have enough influence of people to really just not even that saying that we need the leadership, but just like the influence to have to just get the message out.
But
Kind of like it was a meme.
we're able to. My frustration is those same individuals only do that, only give the techniques and the secrets when they've got an album to sell or when they're promoting a product. They
They
only
do.
speak up in those manners and give us the secrets when he just Jay-Z just released a whole album giving us the blueprint. Yet
Late.
you go work with the very people that you were talking about.
For real.
Like
Yeah.
and nothing has changed.
Nothing's
Nothing.
changed, and it's, man, I thought that was the most disrespectful thing ever too. I'm glad you said that because I was like, I can't believe this Negro went to work for the NFL after he told everybody not to. He gonna go and be the halftime management, like the halftime jester, like for the whole NFL. I thought that was insane. I'm not gonna lie. I have to be honest.
And Sequoia says, I'll be honest, I don't know how to debate. I find myself getting angry and aggressive, especially if I believe in something. I recognize I need to work on that. And
That's a
I,
good
I,
point.
I agree with that. But one of my other frustrations I got a lot of frustrations that I've developed
It's okay.
in
We
this
all got
moment.
it.
But a lot of it comes from me seeing that the elders of our community are stepping back. They're not willing to march anymore. They're not willing to support the young people and guiding them and teaching them how to have an argument. I just the conversation. I just walked out of a conversation last night on an interview. I just cut it off. I pushed leave room on an argument I was on somebody's thread. I didn't even argue anymore. I just left. And Sequoia and them was still in there going back, and I couldn't do it no more because when you recognize you're arguing with someone that is ignorant, it's nothing that you can accomplish in that. And part, I can blame the elders, but I'm still going to put the onus on people in your age range, the people in my age range, because we don't want to listen. We don't want to listen. All we
Thank
see
you.
is we see a
Hopefully.
mirror image of our trauma. So we're broken. So anything that we see that's wrong, we only see it through the eyes of our brokenness. So we're not willing to listen to any strategies or any ideas on how to get, you know, better. Sequoia, I know Sequoia, she's a note taker. She listens. But
Okay.
we got to learn how to get to a place where we can communicate and have a difference of opinion. I ain't there yet either, Sequoia. I talk to people for a living, and I'm not there yet.
That's a real
Right,
point. Yeah, it's
right.
hard though. You know what I mean? It's a growing thing. You know, I did the debates class one time in like middle school. So that low key
Mm.
just opened me up as well. My dad was always into debate, so me being able to dialect was something he always wanted to push. But I can understand that. You know, understand that your emotions can get the best of a debate, and sometimes it's best when like it's hard doing on the internet, especially. You know what I'm saying? Because some people, if you don't know the person speaking, you can't read the tone. You know what I mean? So you have a lot of some
Yeah.
people who really just read the dialogue wrong and they take it aggressive because they're argumentative instead
Well,
of
they're
us getting in this
listening.
section.
They're reading your posts based on their brokenness.
Exactly, on their brokenness. Exactly,
So it
exactly.
don't have their brokenness has nothing to do with the topic, but I'm reading it because I'm having a piss poor day. That just happened. I was just accused of being attacking somebody, and I was like, all I did was tell you that I didn't agree with your point of view, and I'm attacking you like it, and it
uh,
happens from within. So one of the reasons I jumped off of that argument because it was a black woman coming at me. So I was like, I'm not doing that because then I'm gonna be labeled as this, and I'm gonna have people coming on my threads calling me misogynistic, I, and that's what I mean
I
by
feel it.
unification.
Yeah,
How and we have people listening, and black women listening, and I want to hear a perspective on how can we get through this without ripping each other apart. A gentleman made a comment to me the first show that I did. This is the third of in the series that I've done, and the
okay.
first time he made a mention of the whole idea of the crab in a barrel mentality, and the idea that we focus on the crabs and not on the barrel,
They're not
and
supposed to
not
be there.
realizing that they're
Yeah.
not in their natural element. So of course they're going to fight. Of course they're going to claw and pull each other down. They're not going to be not aggressive in that barrel because that's not their natural habitat. and,
Exactly.
and, and it made so much sense to me. And even in it making sense to me that way, I'm not saying, well, you need to get it now because I just got it. I'm saying we need to make that an ideal of realization so we can get to a point where we helping each other get out of that barrel. Let's tip it over. Let's knock it over so we can be free together.
It is.
We
It's
can all be
patience.
at a free state.
It really is patience. Just having the patience. Understand that some people get there later. Some people got there earlier. Some people take time. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Right,
it does take an overall patience and just some empathy. Everybody got to have some empathy. Understand that we all hurt. Everybody got their own stages and different levels. So we got to take everyone as they come. You know what I mean? Just unification, black first
right,
is the. I don't. It doesn't matter what we believe, where we go after we die. That's kind of I'm my name is Marcus after
right.
Marcus Garvey, and that was one of his viewpoints on religion. Is that it doesn't matter where we go after we die, because while we're still on this earth, we still have the same like matter. So we could discuss all the other things that we don't agree on later, because right now we agree on us being able to be here and being able to sustain. So that's true though.
Crystal says, remember that Kaepernick didn't get an opportunity to work out for NFL teams until Jay-Z started working with the NFL. That's not a coincidence. It's not.
It's crumbs. It's
It's Crump
crumbs. It's
because he's
it's
still not
it's
on the team.
he's not on a team. The workout they gave him was half-assed. You know what I mean? They and then they really didn't even look at him really for like. And then it's just I feel like we have so much of a stance, so much of a position. We could legitimately have us open our own field, pay people to play, and build that momentum to have the next biggest thing. You know what I mean? And for Jay-Z to be in the position that he is, to have all the influencers that we have in our positions, it's kind of like nobody wants to take that stand. You know what I mean? To say, yo, we could have our own NFL
Hmm.
team. We could have our own. Like if Odell Beckham was like, all right, I'm about to go play for the Black League. Like you know what I mean? All right, we about to have Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, I'm about to go play for the Black League. Like I don't care if it's less, but I'm gonna get more respect. You could dance during a halftime. We have our own HBCUs come and play at halftime. Like we could have our own really own. That's why I respect Ice Cube a little bit, because for that big three, you know what I mean? He still made his own version of his league. If you know what I mean, you could join the big three now. Like you don't have to just go to the league. Like I kind of, I respect that ownership to say, yo, we need to stop trying to beg for a seat at their table. You know what I mean? Because even though their table might look good now, it's because we tended to their table. When we tend to our table will forever outshine theirs because we work on their table. You know what I
And
mean?
as an artist, I'm a theater artist, a visual artist, and I work in the educational field as an artist. And I'm saying to many people right now, we have to stop trying to go to them because they don't come to our platforms. We are always going to theirs and making their platform better. And I'm tired. I'm in a moment of being really tired of trying to fit in and be. counted for. I'm tired of only
It's not
going
worth
after
it.
their awards and their accolades. I'm tired of going
Mhm.
after their approval. You know, I don't
Real.
hate white people. What I'm saying is, I need us to get us together. I need us to have value. I need us to take back our content that we gave them, that we
That we allow
allowed
them
them
to
to
see.
steal.
Oh, thank you. You
Yes,
said it. You
we
said
need
it.
to get our platforms back together. We have to. We
We
have
do.
made everything about them the standard. I'm an actor. You know, I have one of my the people in my field that I look up to the most is August Wilson, but we still put him beneath a Shakespeare, and he is way more
Way
prolific,
better. Yeah.
much better, much
Yeah.
prolific, much more connected to the day to day life of people. But yet we still put him beneath this man who we don't even know if he really wrote it.
He didn't wrote anything. Exactly. Back then,
I,
everybody was stealing. You know what I mean? So he just had his name on it. No, man. No. No, I agree with that, man. We do got to get our own together. He destroyed his
Crystal
own opportunity.
says Crystal says he destroyed his own opportunity with the Kunta Kinte shirt and refusing to keep the workout at the Falcon Stadium. I agree that we have the power to create our own league.
He destroyed it by wearing the Kuta Kente shirt. So he destroyed it by being him. He destroyed it for having his skin because the Kuta Kente shirt represents his skin, represents his heritage and the culture. So with you
Hmm.
saying that, it goes with the ideology that he ruined it before he even walked into the door. Because once again, he was ostracized because of what he stood for, which what he stood for was opposite of what the league stands for, which is Black lives. You know what I mean? Having the sense that Black
Right,
lives is worth more
exactly.
than a dollar.
And that's and I understand that
Yeah.
argument, but many of our young men who go and young women who go into the world of athletics, they give up they sign over and give up their individuality because it becomes more about the brand,
The brand.
especially in
I'm glad you said
football.
that.
In basketball, I've noticed that they promote the individual players because those individual players they use their fan bases to bring in the money.
Exactly.
Football remains this group sport where they don't promote the individual artists and they kind of shy away from and frown on the individual artists, individual football players standing out. Look at Beckham. They shun that behavior. They shun it.
He's throwing temper tantrums. I
Right.
was a Redskins fan for a while, but I stopped watching football after Kaepernick got kicked out. So that was
Hmm.
my boycott. You know what I mean? I've been boycotting for years, so I understand, and it's a lot of my people. I take. When's the last time you
Right.
watched football? They watched last season. I'm like, see, I've been protesting. Where have you been?
Right.
Where have you been?
I agree, Crystal.
Yeah,
I've always seen the NBA as kind of the player sport, and whereas versus football, where it's more of the team or the
it
actually the
is.
logo.
It
We
is.
promote the logo, the brand more than the actual individual. So it turns into that cattle system where they're just turning out, sheep.
Person. It's the helmet idea. I think it's because you don't really see who players are, what players are, unless they are the top notch players, and you see their faces without the
Right.
helmet. You know what I mean? But other than
Right.
that, you don't know a football player. You just think this guy's big as hell. Like you be like, "What do you do?" He's like, "Oh, I'm an offensive lineman for the Giants." Oh shit! Like you know what I mean? Like you just wouldn't know.
Now I don't want to confuse anybody because Crystal about to go in and on the sports tip.
Have
Uh,
that much power.
I'm an actor. My athleticism is learning lines. That's where I just draw the line. Because Crystal about to go in, but I'm gonna invite Crystal over here because I know she will
Absolutely.
put give it in. But I ask you, sir, where do you think what is artist? You're a DJ. I'm a performance artist. What is the responsibility of the artist in this conversation?
I'm so glad you said that, man, because I'm a DJ. I started my own artistry. I've been writing for years, and it's kind of like pushing the narrative, man. Like we have to one artists. A lot of artists make music for what the consumer makes. Like this is the type of music. This is the type of the times that we're in. The music is more so pushed to just, to keep you guys busy. You know what I mean? Streaming is now the
Right.
thing. It's not necessarily about whole albums, whole tapes. So what we're pushing out and what the narrative needs to be is that we're not taking music that isn't pushing the growing in us. It isn't pushing the in forward movement with us to do better in our lives. You know what I mean? So if we kind of push that message that we wanted this type of music and we didn't always subscribe to the things that were our detriment, then we might see a push in what the music that we get to see come back out again. You know what I mean? That's kind of
Hmm.
what fizzled out with the 90s into the 2000s and then to 2000s into the now. You know what I mean? Like for what we wanted and what was being pushed, if we demand a certain thing or if we only subscribe to this, like we could find more people that do that. You know what I mean?
On the business side, how are you making sure your voice is heard and not just you, just a number?
That's a great question. Understanding that branding, like it's really just branding. Understanding that everybody knows who comes to my parties. Know certain artists I don't play because I don't like them. I don't really promote what they have. And be quite honest with y'all, name a few. Um, I don't like Tiger just because I don't like him, but I don't like because I don't like his rapping. But I don't promote Young Thug. I don't play none of his music. You know what I mean? Certain artists, I've never played an R. Kelly song, regardless. Not to say I didn't like R. Kelly as an artist or the things that happened with him already, but I just already didn't play Kells. You know what I mean? So I was just kind of something that it was certain things I kind of already just didn't do. So it's just really just differentiating yourself and being willing to say, this is what I stand for. This is what I'm stand on. It's either you're gonna take all of me or not, and willing to walk off the table. A lot of people aren't willing to give up. Like you have to sacrifice to say that what you're willing to have and what you're willing to stand for. Like I've had to leave certain spaces because what I was willing to say didn't fit, what was around there. But I'd rather have peace with myself than try to have peace within the world. So I was willing to say, yeah, I can't stay here because I can't be one with myself in this space. And I think we need to really look at that, for in terms of everybody. You
What
feel
do
that?
you, in terms of your social or your digital footprint, attached to your responsibility? What responsibility do you have as a person who's posting on social media, or do you
So
feel
you
the
have
responsibility?
you do have responsibility. I'm glad you said that because some people feel like their platform isn't one or isn't there. So it starts with little things. If you have an opinion, if you have a voice, you have information, speak on it. Share,
Hmm.
drop little. You can either go on Twitter, speak on it, post it to your Instagram, post it on your Instagram, make videos on your Instagram. You can either speak your own said voice, have your own opinion, share knowledge. You know what I mean? Share like it's one thing if you go to my story. I might go into a couple things, but I might go off on a tangent and try to, drop certain spots to where I found it at. And I feel as if, it's just sharing the information. You know what I mean? Just being
Mm,
willing to share information. I tell people the most influential book I read as a recent late was The Spook That Sat by the Door.
mm,
that that
okay.
that book that book, man, has me screaming infiltration. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely I promote those things that build everything that helped me. I tell my following, I tell everything because I don't expect y'all to do exactly what I did, but if you have any inkling to anything that I'm going through or have gone through or tried, this is what it did to help me. So just being transparent and speaking your part because you're gonna find like-minded people when you speak your part. You know what I mean? So.
How that's interesting to me, and hearing you say, uh, mentioning that book, um, that's an interesting. I'm telling you where you about to head to, sir. And it's books like that
Yeah.
definitely opened my eyes to how we are as a black community towards each other. And reading stuff like that in my 20s, and I'm 37 now, but reading stuff like that in my 20s, it allowed me to start paying attention to my interpersonal relationships within my black culture, and I saw how broken we were. Those books like that made me realize, and it's so easy to point a finger outside of us when we read stuff like that and make us angry. But for some reason, I took a whole different approach to it, and I started seeing how we point that gun, that finger, and those three fingers that are pointing back at us what is our responsibility? What responsibility do I have in that? And I'm not saying we are the blame for what has happened
What's
to us
happening? Right.
over the last 400 plus years, but I'm saying we have not. We have we joked Kanye for saying stuff.
But he had a
And
low key point, yo. No, you definitely said it. My fault, I got a call, but you definitely said it. You, whew.
we look we because we spend too much time judging the messenger,
Oh, I lost the audio. Hold on.
and I can still hear you, and we look at the messenger so much,
Oh,
and we avoid the actual.
can,
uh
can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. We lost him. He's going to log back on, but him saying that, we forget about the actual message, and we forget about the message.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. My fault. I got a call and it messed up my sound.
We and me, the point of me saying that, because we focus too much on the messenger. We focus too much on the messenger, and we totally lose the message. That's why when we get into these social media arguments, we're not even fighting on the platform of the message. We're
Yeah.
looking at each other
Each
fighting.
other, like who are you to tell me? Like you
Right,
don't even do that. Like how you gonna
right,
I go to your page, I see other stuff. Man, this nigga don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, we are a show me first people. You know what I mean? We are.
yeah,
It's a show me what you did. All right, it works. All right, now I'm willing to do it. And that's very true because people were fussing at Kanye, but I was like, yo, that's the most scary point is that yo, being a slave for that many that's a long time. But it's like
yeah,
people were like, how can you say that? And I'm like, Harriet Tubman said the same thing. She said no. She said Harriet Tubman said no. So like you understand, it's
no,
people who sat there and did that. It's people who died before they even got to the land. You know what I mean? Like it's
yep.
people. So I understand. But I'm glad you said that too. Because people were killing Kanye, and it was like I was like a few. Like I was me amongst few that were like, listen for a second.
Because
I know
they was looking at Kanye.
like
They was
oh
looking
he
at
was with Trump.
Kanye.
He was yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They were looking at Kanye and what his flaws were and what his indiscretions were, and they totally missed the message. Oh, he crazy. Joking the man about his mental disorder. He's already said to you, I got a mental disorder. That doesn't make him any less right or make his message any less powerful because he has these issues or he's flawed. You know,
And he
I
knows
see
it.
the same thing with pastors. I rarely go to a church or go to church, my church, for my pastor or for a pastor or whoever the guest speaker is. I'm listening to what they're actually saying. And when it don't add up, I'm out of there. You know,
Right.
because I'm
Right.
listening to what's being said. And a lot of us are so broken that anything that you say is now flipped to an attack on me. It's not an attack when I don't agree with you. It's
It's
only an
not.
attack when I'm
Oh,
coming at you the same way you coming at me right now. That's when it's an attack.
you
But
know what I mean? Some people hate that. Some people really don't can't take that. Like if you come, if you, they can yell at you and you raise your voice back, and it's like and it gets worse. You know what I mean? But that's why
yeah,
my best technique was really when people raise their voice and argue. You know, like I was once told, a modulated tone speaks a cultivated mind. You know what I mean? So I don't have to
hmm,
necessarily yell at you. More so, if you're yelling, I can speak calmly and realize, and you'll start to realize that I don't have to yell. And most of the time, people tone down and they start to relax. I'm like, listen, you don't even have to. You talk a little slower. Like, okay, I'm not trying to. You gotta learn how to
calm
teach it.
down,
Yeah, yo, people lose their mind with
relax.
calm down. I don't want to say that because they calm down. You be like, I'm not trying to go there. Hear what I'm
Right.
saying? And then it's like, okay. And it's like,
Well,
all right, put the shield
that's
down.
the issue. That's the biggest
That
flaw
is.
about social media. Because right
Yeah.
now people can hear my tone and hear your tone and understand it from a different perspective versus reading someone's words. You are taking your emotion in that moment and layering that over top of what you're reading. And it's normally not even close to
That's
reading
true,
us.
man. Thank you.
So my question to you is, I'm gonna go back to that image that I posted. What prompted you to respond?
Um, I see. I have a lot. And that's a great point because I do have a lot of people who I would figure as allies because we want the same thing, right? So I would say,
Hmm.
people who also like minded, want the same ideas. And when I saw, it was more so congratulatory, but I just wanted the idea to be more so as don't lose sight of the ball. You know what I mean? Just because
Hmm.
this is the same thing that's happened before, and I see a lot of us haven't really been through. You don't got to be a history like educator philosopher to understand certain things in history have already happened. You know what I mean? So if you just
Hmm.
really just going through understanding certain shit that happened, you'd be like, all right, well, that's happened before, bro. So I mean, the fact that they fired, cool. Niggas gets fired every day and they still go home, they feet up and got a job and got money, paid leave. You know what I mean? So some get
Right.
paid leave, some get fired and get the check for leaving. You know what I mean? So to me, I was just like, oh, they got fired. And then it was the black representation. And I felt like also as a part of tokenism. So I was like, yo, don't get too excited because some people will see that and they be like, "Oh, okay, well, at least he got fired. Black person's there in spot. We can relax. It's not gonna happen again." And then they get surprised because they're like, "How could a black officer do this?" And oh my god, like this happened. I'm like, what has changed? Like they all wear the same uniform, the same. Nothing's changed. So don't feel
Can
that
you
way.
see it? And even talking about it now and the time that's been since the post was made, can you see? Are you able to see the other side of that argument?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I can see it. I can see it from when it was low key being sought. Well, I mean being spoken on, but
Hmm.
that was just my emphasis was just
Right.
toward the other direction. You know what I mean? I could see that, and I was like, okay, that's what you prioritized. You know what I mean? So I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I see where you stand on it. He was able to kind of say like, this is how I kind of feel this way, and I was like, that's good, but we should. If we want this, I think we should look this way because that isn't a strong. You know what I mean? I was just trying to push
And
the
I'm and
idea,
I'm and
the
I'm
spotlight.
somewhat new. I'm new to the conversation on Instagram because Instagram scares me a little bit because it doesn't feel real to me. But
Yeah,
I'm new to the commenting part of or responding to comments because I never would do that before. But yours was a little bit different because it came across strong. So I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Let me read this before I react to it." Because for me, I've gotten into this reactionatory state of mind right now because all of us are hypersensitive about whatever we're feeling about being stuck in the house or not being able to
not
work the
working.
same way, and
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of us are missing the lesson that we're supposed to be getting out of this moment. And it's not just to stay still and be still, but we're missing our individual lessons that's supposed to happen. And for me, I'm starting to reach out to people that I don't know more in a different way. And I immediately reached out to you because I don't normally do that. Because I was like, I don't, that's
I
another
don't know. He can't be kind of
and
crazy.
right. That's getting into a conversation like that with another dude can sometimes be
It
ugly
goes,
and
yeah, man.
and
I
you're like,
know.
I'm not ready for that pissing
Started.
contest.
Yeah.
But it now I'm going with my instinct more and my discernment more and reaching out to people to get uh my platform is about storytelling. That's all I do on my platform. I promote other storytellers. I try to turn people into storytellers and really
Like
getting
that.
people's story and not
Like
just telling a fanciful fictional story, but really getting your story because there's more to you than you just being a DJ. you
seriously.
know there's more to you than just what is at face value. And I'm trying all the artists that I work with, I try to help them to change their social media into a platform where people can look at your stories or your posts and see your story
And
and not just in
feel
a
you.
promotional
Yeah.
way, but people are more connected to you when they see themselves in you. And a lot of us, we're that
Right.
whole idea of artists and celebrities being distant and secretive about themselves personally, all that's out the window now. Because people not they spending their money on people that they agree with. We see that on the
So,
negative side. We see that. So we got
oh,
to
man.
bring that same mentality over to the other side and be able to share who we are positively and not just cotton candy positivity, but
The
real life.
growth.
This is who I am. This is where I come from. This is the things I want in life. This is what I'm passionate about, and not and be able to show that in a real. That's why I was always afraid of social media because it wasn't real. It was too many filters for
It's a
me.
lot. Yeah, it still
Like,
is. There's still a lot of smoke and mirrors, but that's
yeah, but I
because
don't
we find
understand how you got filters and somebody's got to see you one day. Somebody's got to approach you one day, and I don't want to
yeah,
ever make my life or my personal self not mirror who I am in real life. Like, how do
always,
you do that? I don't get it.
always, and just
I
log
don't
off
understand.
and just be like, oh well, I got off, and it just go back to your regular. So I don't know how people do it. I
Right.
don't know. That's never been me, but that's been a real thing of mine too. I kind of been using social media though to just really just find like minded, and I mean sometimes you do gotta. I've actually had to unfollow some people, like people who've taken sides of the police, people who people who, and not even just the sides of like I mean like the blatant side, like the side like I mean it could have
Yeah.
been it sounds like I can't believe I got people really naysaying so it does you really do so tap it helps you kind of sift out what is
Hmm.
really good and what's really right. It takes time though.
I've been doing the same thing to a lot of the non-black people in my life. Like,
Oh yeah,
really, and I don't want you to fight my battle, but if you can sit
you gotta
still and
understand
not
though.
say anything in this moment, not contribute to us in this moment, and you've made money off of us, and you've had friendships and relationships with us, I can't do business with you. I don't even want to know you alive. You are invisible to me right now.
Real for real. Black people the same way, cause not all, what I mean. Not everybody in your damn jersey is on your team. You know what I mean? And that's the worst
Hmm.
part. So yeah, you already
Yep.
spoke of frustration. So trying to just figure those out, that's gonna be that's really the kicker, man. Figuring out who's really here for the team and who's really just opportunists.
Right. How has your mindset kind of grown throughout? Because you're at the point in your 20s where it's about to start. 28 will be, you will start seeing stuff that don't make that much sense to you. 29, you're not gonna remember it because it's gonna go that fast, and then you gonna wake up in your 30, and you either gonna be stuck where you were, where you come from, or you gonna be in a space where it ain't comfortable. I got to get out of here. Those get out of here moments will start coming real frequently. But
Right.
27 is a weird period because you still holding on to that 25, 20 something, but you feel it like slipping out of your grasp. But when did and I only say that because that's just what I saw and what I personally experienced.
Nah,
But
you
how are you
speaking it.
how did your mindset grow throughout your 20s?
That's actually a great question, man. Like it's real maturity, real growth. Like it's crazy because I would have never, if I saw myself at 20, I would have never thought I'd be where I was at right now. Like I got to a point like right now, currently, I stopped eating meat for about
Mm,
3 months now. So,
I
and I've
pray
done it
for you.
before. Yeah, you know what I mean. I've done it before, but just I used to eat everything. Like my parents called me the garbage disposal. Like my favorite foods was ribs and chicken. I stopped eating pork for a long time. You know what I mean? And then I was on like chicken lightly and fish, and then I stopped doing fish because I was like, I'm down. I got tired of the mercury. You know what I mean? So then I was just like, all
Mm,
right, well, we're just gonna do this, the different things. And now I'm really like a full fledged herbivore. So the growth is insane. Like I mean, literally, I used to like the same money I made illegally, like I now make legally in my DJing. Like I now have an LLC, and it's kind of
mm-hmm.
like it's like you really it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of work though. It's a lot of work. It might be some nigga. You might have to iron out some things again. Sometimes you gotta hit what I'm saying, hit it again a different angle to make sure you get that knot out. But I think the growth is the best part. Growth is really the best part, man. Like now looking back at it, it's like it really feels like it was worth it.
But you're fortunate because many of us learned that at 37, versus 27, and it's really interesting because to me, I don't feel 30 anything. I don't know how that's supposed to feel, but
Right.
I still feel like I do, and some of the same things I've had to go through, and it wasn't hard giving up my way of eating or it wasn't necessarily hard, but mentally we are so attached to
The
our
mental value.
thing. Yeah,
Whew.
the value that we put on Popeye's chicken. Like we we are so stuck to it.
Oh my god.
And I've been going strong throughout this and cooking more vegan meals, but I still wanna, I cheated the other day because I was
That's
pissed
cool.
off and I had me some Popeyes and I was thoroughly upset with myself, but it felt good.
It felt good, but that's okay. You could treat yourself whatever you decide. You know what I mean? It's not a religion. You just know better. You just know. I like when I
But you
when I
gotta
have my
make it
plate.
a religion though. It has to become a religion because I'm telling you, you may not have felt it yet, but I've only been heavy in my 20s. So when after 30, it felt like bananas didn't hit the same way no more. And it just didn't. And you be like, why is that ankle swollen? And I'm sitting here like, what the hell is going on? Like
Hey
a
yo,
fall don't recover the same way. Like you don't, it don't,
hey yo. I
it
be
just
hearing that
don't.
too. Stay on that sea moss, yo. Stop. Not the same. You said sea
Not the
moss.
CMOS.
If
Not
she
the
said sea
CMOS.
moss, I got my sea moss. Hey, I got sea moss out this junk. Come on, man. You gotta stay up on it now.
But and
Yeah.
interesting enough, the idea of what CMOS has become, if we could do that across the board with our industries, with our educational system, with how we raise our children, if we could be that contagious with us, our culture across the board, nobody, I mean, people were talking about CMOS, but it was really the Incense Sage sisters and Jinbei brothers. Like that's all who talked about it. But I've never seen more people who I know still eating fried chicken taking CMOS. Like
Just
I
throwing
just
sea moss in smoothies.
right. Like it's a fruit drink now. But I'm just saying, like,
Uh,
how do we take our entire culture that serious? Or how do we make our who we are, our unity that contagious? How do we make it that contagious as CMOS has been? They got flavors
just
now. You just showed me some damn red CMOS.
Bro, they do got bread because they mix it with the fruits. I've been on CMAS now since about last year. So now I do. It was a slow. It was definitely a slow graduated turn. Like people was like, I was getting in and it was cheap still, and I was like, all right, but I ain't telling nobody where I'm getting it from. It's black owned spot in DC. So I was like, I'm just getting it. Then I would go back and it was like, it's less over here. And then there's different types of it. So I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and get this type. And then I'm like, damn, they didn't and took all the tape I was gonna get. And then I realized it's a line for the CMOS, and you know what I mean. So I think it just takes a graduated effort. I think everybody kind of like the pyramid scheme. You know what I mean? Everybody was looking for money. A lot of people were trying to work, so they just started posting pyramids on Instagram and just writing names in it and said, "Give me $100." And your friends told you. So your friends was influencing friends. It's the influence that really, I think that really captivates
A
people
hundred dollars for what? What do you
for
get?
nothing, nothing,
Oh,
nothing.
you meant like the pyramid scheme thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
the little pyramid jumps.
Yeah.
Everybody was writing their name. You ain't get nothing. And I was like, it's crazy because I've worked multi-level marketing before. So I did Wake Up Now. I don't know if you remember a couple years ago when that joint was popping and going up. I had people
Mhm.
under me and there, so I made it the point. I made $600 every month. So I had niggas like, yo, should I do that shit? I'm like, yo, I'm giving you a whole. I used to give people whole businesses with products and plans and tickets and this and that for $100 to join. They would fuss me out, man, cuss me out. I can't do that. $100. Niggas is giving their friends $100 for nothing. Nothing in a pandemic. The time where you should be saving your money, we are out here spending it. $1,200 a stimulus check. Niggas is out here blowing it. I understand for people who actually gotta use it for food and the family and the house because you gotta make that 1,200. You know what I'm saying? Strike.
Right.
But a
Right.
lot of it, I just see some people get that stimulus check and just blow it. Like,
Blow
man.
it.
Financial
And then,
literacy
and
is
to
something we got to
me, I
push
wish
through.
we would have at least invested it back into ourselves, like creating a business. And I was one of them people. I just sold Melaleuca and Avon and all of those. And at the end of the day, we will never. My mother did Avon and what's the makeup with Mary Kay and
Yeah, Mary
Avenue
Kay.
Pink
Yeah.
Cadillac, like all those things. And I'm sitting here saying, why can't we take our own selves that seriously? We're willing to invest in and a body shaper, but you got a nephew or cousin over there that's trying to, you know, be a DJ or an artist, and we don't invest that money into helping them, that could be a return on our investment.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
just don't. We invest in ways that are temporary. I I sold Avon. I think I did 3 cycles of of orders, and I got so bored with it that I was like,
word.
I'm not selling no Avon to these old ladies. Like I don't. I I s- I just don't understand how we choose to spend our money. And
Yeah,
and, and I'm not. Trust me, I'm still learning what to do with money. All I know is how to make it,
same.
but I'm still learning how to know what to do with it. But we have to begin to really learn how to invest in ourselves and our children. You know, I get into most of my social media arguments have to do with people not sending their children to schools that are not for them. They're not built for them. They're not preparing your child for anything.
For
Yet
nothing.
still, and on the other side of that, the ones of us who can afford it, we keep sending our children to Catholic schools and to parochial schools that's doing the same damage to our
And
children.
worse. And
Right.
worse.
I
Catholic
went to
schools are
Catholic schools.
raping.
Right. I,
Please.
I went my whole life, and I'm smart, but I don't know any more about myself than I did when I started.
Yeah, real for real, for real. I kind of that reminds me because people always talk, bad about Dr. Umar Johnson, but the fact of the matter is he had to build a school and he bought the school
Ooh.
eventually. We didn't, everybody was talking about, oh, he got the money. I'm like, he only had half a mil. The building was almost 3 mil. So he was quiet for the next like 4 years because he had to get the money. He got the money now. It's in Delaware and it's his school. It's not part of the Delaware school system. It's his school. You know what I'm saying? It's not to take nothing away from LeBron and his charter school, but LeBron's charter school still operates inside of the state of Ohio. Like his lessons plans isn't curated from LeBron. It isn't anywhere different from a public school system. It's a regular charter school. You know what I mean? Their
And
school keeps it at.
I get it, and I'm a treat Dr. Umar the same way I treat a Kanye. I'm gonna listen to the message, and I'm gonna ignore the messenger. Because we have a
He's
tendency
hating
of
Umar.
we, and you know he foolishness. I'm not
He's
taking
not.
away from his
He's
drink.
different. He speaks a little arrogant, but it comes from a lot of people been bad mouthing him for a while. You know what I mean? So after a while, it's kind of like Wale. You know what I mean? Yo, he just be worried about the people too much. You
Right.
good, you're great, so just be great. You know what I mean? Stop worrying
But
about what
that
everybody else is
shows
saying
you
and how
the
they feel.
nature of a person that gets influenced and distracted by what people are saying about him. Because then your message doesn't equal up to you who you are. So it really I'm not
Yeah,
I would
for
never
real.
dispute him because he's trying to do something that hasn't been done, but at the same time we still live in America. So we have to be open to being checked. We have to be open to being criticized because what if one of those people who criticized him actually had a good idea that could help you get. I have a problem with anybody telling me I'm a piece of shit if I don't believe in their dreams. I just I have an issue with that. And I just want him to understand that he can do better and how he can do better. And
Absolutely.
I just want you to do better, brother.
I
I
do,
want
man.
you,
I do, man. Sometimes I think it's that human flaw. You just be like, you gotta be a nigga too, huh? Mind you, he's from Philly, so you know what I mean. Like, yo, it's
yeah.
niggas, yo.
Because I don't trust you around my children. I don't trust that toxic energy around my children, sir.
That's why
Like
he's
I
not
need you
teaching.
to
Thank God. I'm
right,
letting
because
somebody else teach.
children are going to test you more than any adult could ever do. And what you gonna do to that child when they test you like that? Are
I
you
don't
gonna
know.
talk to them like that? So I
I
was
got more
worried.
patience with a child, but that's just me. Yeah, that's just me.
Yeah,
People don't. Some
you
people
a
really
nice young man. You a nice young man. You are. You have a lot of patience. I can see. But I'm not gonna ever badmouth him. I'm just gonna say he needs to do better.
Yeah, because
He
he
needs to
yeah he comes
understand
off a little
himself.
strong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he needs to understand himself. And just because you have a dream, that's not everybody else's dream, nor is it
yeah,
everybody else's responsibility. We should,
seriously.
because that's one school. What about the person that lives all the way in California that's lacking right now? How is your one school that's only going to be able to handle a certain amount of children every year help that person that's across the country? And I know it's supposed to be meant to inspire, but you built the school on other people's money. This wasn't your millions of dollars that you put into it. And I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
nickel
yeah, it
or
was
dime you.
crowdfunded.
Right, it was crowdfunded, but you didn't want any crowd participation. And that's
Nah,
the
he was
same problem.
asking. Niggas was just talking. Niggas was bad mouthing. It was like, Umar, where's the school? Where's the school? He's like, I don't even have enough money yet. Like, I didn't even make a dent in what I needed, and people were just like instant gratification. And right. So
Right.
I understand his side, but I understand how it could be received because he was coming off and people like, yo, what do you, what? Like, I'm working. Like, I'm trying. I've been trying to tell y'all to work with me and build this school. We can have my own school in here, and then you just see everybody's like, "Oh, look at LeBron James' school! Oh my God, LeBron James!" And he's like, "I'm making
Right.
my own school, and for us, and y'all niggas won't even give me money, and y'all telling me where's the product, and I just told you I need the money, and that, like, you know what I mean." So I understand his frustration. It's like, yo, stop talking to me if you're not trying to help me. I got my own school now,
And
but
that's what we do.
but it
We
hurts. But
resort
yeah,
to
it
that.
out
And
of
that's
hurt.
something
Yeah,
I had to check in myself, because if I'm asking, and I my problem was I'm not good at the ask. That part,
yeah,
I'm not good at that part. But when we get to a place where we are asking for support, you got to take all that comes with that.
yeah. The
Or
no's,
you,
the yeah,
right,
the FU's, all that. Yeah,
you got
yeah.
it, because people, my money is valuable. So me putting my money in that automatically makes me feel that I'm a stakeholder in this. So a stakeholder has say. That's the whole point of it. That's the investor.
Yeah,
I say I have the ability to ask questions,
for
and you got
real.
to be able to deal with that. And I think that's what we resort to as Black people. We want your check. I don't want your mouth though. Keep that over there. Just give me your check. And we have
Man,
to realize we got to learn how to communicate and talk to each other, and be in a space together beyond, like, just me signing over my wealth to you.
for real, it's way more than that. It's way more than that. You know what I mean?
It's
But
way
that's
more
also
than
our
that.
materialistic mindset. You know, they say it oppressed people like to cling on to certain things because that makes them feel free. And
Right.
I can only look at us like that's why niggas keep wearing Gucci, even though Gucci wear blackface. You know what I mean? Like after that, we got niggas crying off on Instagram. Gucci ain't done nothing to y'all. Gucci ain't
Oh
done nothing
no.
to
What
nobody.
y'all not gonna do is y'all not gonna come from this young lady, because I think she has a misguided point of view.
Gucci ain't done nothing to nobody. I said, oh, not Gucci. Oh, not Lord save Gucci. Lord save
But
Gucci.
I even as misguided as her point of view was, I kinda saw where she was going, because it was the same thing that the mayor of Atlanta was saying. Protesting is one thing, but rioting causes destruction. And in the midst of it, a lot of Black businesses, Black owned businesses that were just as involved in the fight, lost their businesses in the process.
Destroyed. Mm-hmm.
You know, in Lenox Mall, there are high end stores, but there are also a lot of Black owned shops in there as well. So I don't agree with her delivery, but the underlying message, which I hope it is, I understood where it was coming from. But we have to get to a space where we are able to gracefully disagree with each other, and still find solutions within that, and
You know,
perspectives. And that's people just being honest about what their perspective was. Like, I'm not a person that if you comment on my post, I'm gonna go off on you, because even when I find myself doing that, I have to stop myself, and I do what I did to you. I reach out and I want to have a conversation, because it's not for me. It's not for likes and giggles.
it's
I'm gonna get
not.
my I'm gonna get my paycheck regardless. But for
Right.
me, it's more so about open communication. I wouldn't want somebody like yourself to walk away from my comments not liking me. And it's not about whether you like me or not,
But
but
not liking
having
our
a
people
misunderstanding of who I am based on a conversation that neither of us were able to
really
meet at
have.
the middle. Right. We haven't even had a conversation and we're already developing a conversation. The young lady that's watching, Crystal, and I, we were in a conversation on another thread just a few minutes ago before this show started. And the lady instantly went into, well, you are attacking me and you are named like I was saying, all I said was
God.
your comment is not factual. That's what I said. And you don't even believe that your conversation is factual, but it's a save face in this moment. You're going to attack me and accuse me of being the bad guy.
Always, always. You know, it's
Yeah.
always easy to attack the. It's always easy to attack the messenger when you don't have a strong message. You know what I'm saying? You attack the person who's giving it. You know
Right,
what I
because
mean? But
you just wanna you bored right now. You lonely. You
you know
want
what I mean?
somebody to talk to.
You lost the argument, so now it's like, well, you goddamn, your head look like a. You know what I mean? They try to just go elsewhere. It's like,
It
come
get
on,
personal. It get real
that's child.
personal.
Yeah, yeah, it's childish. Yo. You missing out.
How have you been able to survive through this moment, this pandemic?
So what I've been doing actually a couple like random jobs. I actually got a call back from UPS the other day, so I got to call them back. Package handling job. See that I have a new position I just opened, which I actually gonna start doing more so around the Columbia area. I'm gonna bring it to Baltimore. But what
Hmm.
I'm doing it's called DC Food Box, and people buy a box of food. Has eggs, milk, fresh vegetables and fresh fruits, and you buy these boxes bundles, and I drop them off at people's houses. So all day on Monday, I was riding all through the DCs, man, all through the hood, dropping off fresh produce. Nigga, I look wild as shit with a face mask on and strawberries and everything. But so here you go. You know, oh, thank you.
So
I'm gonna be back.
this is a like a is it an app or is it like a certain
It's
marketplace?
Yeah, it's a company that wants to be the middleman between the produce and the people. So it's like
Okay.
not the grocery store, but they're saying, okay, you come, we are selling for the farmers, like pretty much. So I did his. So this is a mind you, it's a white guy who's doing it in DC. So he said, you know, he's really telling me, I'm gonna show you how to do this. It's really easy, and if you know anybody, you could get referrals and even get residual income if people keep buying off of your referrals. So I'm like, I could get working money, get the residual income, but more than that, I want to take this for myself to say this is the start of the build. This is the start of our black farmers meeting the people who need the fresh produce because that's what we need to because black people, our diet is fucked because that's what we eat, some bad foods because we've known to eat bad food. So once we start building better cells and those cells eat off good food, we could have some different conversations that could go in a different direction because we're having things to filter out, you know, the processed and the food deserts that we have out there. That's a real thing, you know what I mean? So
And
I like
that's important because DC, like now Baltimore, the gentrification is happening. So areas are being starting to be slowly shut down. And a lot of the things that are being taken are basic necessities like clothing, like not clothing, but food stores, schools, places where you can get fresh produce. And then the areas that are being built up are now having these markets that are totally outpricing people. Even in this pandemic.
price gouging,
Right.
man.
A bag of orange used to be 3.99, 4.99. Now that damn bag now damn near $10, $12 for the same thing. So depending
I
on what.
saw a video of some black men. They went to a Asian store and they had all these supplies in there, and they price gouged the store. Mind you, that's illegal in most states. And once you
Mhm.
prove it, it makes the store have to go back. But these black men, what they did was they went to the store owner. It was an Asian owner, and they demanded the price change. And the owner got mad, called the police. All the brothers stayed there, told the police, and they had to mark down those prices. And now those prices is now back to
Mhm.
$3 and something change for toilet paper instead of it being $10 for toilet paper. You know what I mean? So
And I'm gonna post the number. Is a number here in Maryland. that we can actually call when we see stores doing that. Price
Really?
gouging,
Oh
right.
man, yeah,
When
I
we
need
feel like
I
they're
love to
being
see that.
broken, and they'll actually be fined for every single item that somebody can prove that they sold at that price.
Oh,
So
I'm
they'll be
snitching.
fined
Oh
for that.
yeah, I'm snitching. Fuck,
Right.
I'm
And
snitching on
it's
that. That's what I'm
but it's
snitching for.
ridiculous
Yeah.
because what you're speaking about is prominent in cities like this because food deserts are a thing, and then or they're shutting down affordable markets and opening up these Whole Foods, and which is better for us in a way
But it's
somewhat,
expensive. It's
but it's
pricey.
expensive.
Yeah,
Right.
it's pricey sometimes.
I've
Yeah.
I've bought $85 worth of food from a Safeway opposed to a Whole Foods, and they're not comparable.
They're
It's
not the same.
it's not the
85 at Whole
same.
Foods, it's not gonna last you a whole week for
Nope,
real.
that's probably
Yeah,
lunch for the next 2 days, but that's
yeah,
about
it's
it.
not gonna last you. Yeah, that's
No,
real.
but
That's real.
I thank you for not being afraid to like talk to somebody you've never known before. One, but I'm always in a space of trying to help people to promote their businesses and their platforms, and I really want you to look at this as a platform for yourself. So if you need any help promoting or marketing your artistry, definitely reach out and you have it. Uh,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
one of the
I really appreciate that.
Do you have any last minute remarks on this conversation or anything you want to add to it
Last
before
minute
we get out?
remarks for yeah, man, for the people, for the recorder, man. Make sure y'all understanding is key, man. Empathy is one for each other. That's the only way we
Hmm.
gonna stand through this, man. There is no allies. When you see another brother, you see another sister, they are your family just as well, man. Like we are legit in this together, man. Like I look at everybody else, no matter what you're doing, no matter what state in life you on. I've had my own states in life, you know what I mean? We all grow and mature. We give everybody that space to grow and mature. You know what I mean? So don't judge nobody. Be willing to open and hear them out, just like this conversation. And you meet very valuable friends like we just built today. So, I mean, nothing to it, man.
Hmm.
Black is beautiful.
Exactly.
Black is beautiful.
So my last question that I asked to all my guests, I asked you, what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self, and what question would you ask to your 100-year-old self?
That's a good damn. That's a good one. Ooh. All right. I know what I would say to my 17-year-old self. So I do a lot of mentoring. What I would say to my 17-year-old, like my personal 17-year-old self, I would tell myself, don't wait. Don't wait.
Don't wait.
Don't wait on nothing. Don't wait. Like I don't care if you start today and you have no customers, nobody supports nobody. Like I don't care. Just don't wait. Just don't wait. You know what I mean? Like I'll tell you, don't wait. 10 years ago, don't wait on nothing. Just go. If your friends ain't start yet, they'll follow you. If they don't, then you keep going, and somebody else is gonna follow you. Yeah, you literally just go. Just go. Just do it. Even if you don't have the information, just go. You'll learn as you go. And what
Be
I would ask my
fearless.
man, I'm telling you, man, what I ask my 100-year-old self, I, my 100-year-old self, man, I would ask what I would ask my 100-year self. I would ask myself, was it all worth it? If I could
Mm,
ask myself my 100, then I could say, damn, Malk, you are 100 years old. My grandfather died at 98. So you saying 100 years to me is actually like reasonable. So I would be like, damn,
mhm.
what would I tell myself? Like, what would I ask? Was it worth it? Everything to the sacrifices, to goals you made, to you staying up doing this, whatever goals you attended all through your life, the ones you made, ones you didn't make, ones you changed or did, was all of it worth it to right now? Do you feel like it was all meaningful? Because right now, I feel like at 27, it's all coming together and it's all meaningful. So I hope myself at 100 could just say double over. Yes. You know
And
what I mean?
I always ask that question because I feel like 17 is an age that um, things start becoming real, and that veil of youthful ignorance is always normally ripped off of
Shoot,
us at
mine was
that point.
14. Shit.
Well,
Say
yeah, and
17. Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah.
but by 17, you really
17, definitely.
can't lie to me. There's no Santa Claus, there's no Tooth Fairy. Like that's
You about
totally
to be a
off
grown
the
man now. Yeah, like.
right. And 100 is normally for many of us. unattainable. But when we have relatives that live to that age, we it is not necessarily unattainable, but it's something to aspire to. Like at 100, where would I want to be when I'm 100? Who do I want around me at that point? And I often tell people, as I do to myself, ask yourself that 17-year-old and 100-year-old self, and maybe when you turn 30 or when you on your next birthday, ask yourself that question. Or when you have to get through something difficult, ask yourself that question again. And your question normally changes because your perspectives has changed, your level of experience has changed, and your outlook is often growing. So ask yourself that on a put a timer on it and say in 6 months or a year or my next birthday, I'm gonna ask myself that question, and you normally will see the growth. Just like journaling, it's like a journaling type of question.
Right. Yeah. All
So it
right.
really
So
will
yeah,
show
I
you
know exactly.
perspective.
That's a good. That's actually a good. I never heard that before. I like that because after you write it down, you could look back and say, "Damn, like, yeah, I
Hmm.
kind of I like that. I like that.
You
I
can
never
kind
heard
of
that before.
gauge how you've grown or moved
Are
backwards.
you?
You never
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Thought processes, where you stand. Yeah. No, that's a
So
good.
tell
I like
us,
that.
tell us, how we can find you as a DJ, or how we can, people can find your music or contact you.
Absolutely. DJing all platforms. DJ Marcus L. DJ Marcus. I already said after Marcus Garvey. L means the one who teaches after the Morse language. So DJ Marcus L. All platforms. My music. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. It's a sneak peek for anybody who's on here right now. Jadakiss is hosting of tape, and it's dropping in 2 days. And my song is on the tape. I have a song called Destiny. Um, I've always been a writer. I've been in music all my life. I play instruments, but I never started like rapping for real. But then I just was like, why not? Like I make music, and now I'm a DJ, so I was like, why not? So this is my first song. I mean, I made some other songs, but this is my first song out there. It's gonna be on all platforms. I'm gonna send everybody to Jadakiss. It's called "Who Got Bars," so it's gonna be him in a chair, and he's gonna be sitting in a chair. Who got bars? You're gonna see a track called "Destiny." That's DJ Marcus L. You can check that out. But yeah, I haven't dropped anything yet. I got some stuff on SoundCloud. If you look me up on SoundCloud, but that's all you gonna get for now. I gotta get all my paperwork and stuff
So
right.
when you ready to promote it, definitely hit me up, and I can bring you on my other platform, the Artist Exchange radio show, so we
Oh
can help you
man,
promote it and such.
that brother, that'd be great, man. I appreciate it. I'd love to hear your feedback too as well. I could send it to you after this. Actually, maybe I could get your feedback before everybody else hear it.
I got you. I got you.
That'd be
So
great.
this has been the third edition of Let's Do Lunch with Nate. Me, Nate, and an awesome discussion this has been. You can find this, replay this on YouTube, on Facebook, on major platforms. I'll be pushing it out there. And don't forget, every Monday and Friday at 5 p.m., tune in live to the Be Exposed Radio for the Artist Exchange Radio Show with me, your host, Nate. We have plenty of shows coming on. This quarantine has not stopped us. We have all gone all digital, all virtual with you all. We'll be back in the studio as soon as time allows. But please stay tuned, stay locked in, and follow us. We're here every Wednesday for Let's Talk. Let's do lunch. I'm sorry. With me, your host Nate, every Wednesday at 12 noon. So definitely tune in. And peace out. It was great talking to you,
It was
sir.
great
And
talking to you, brother.
much love and respect. And I'll send you the link to this so you can share it out or watch it and get a laugh or two.
I'm gonna share it out, man. I can't wait, brother. I thank you for having me on here, man. For real.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.